CEO Quick Heal for a keynote address. Please put your hands together and invite our speaker on stage.
Good evening. So I'm happy to say that the Chandrayaan has landed safely. So we should cheer for that. And I'm also proud to say that ISRO is secured by Securite. Okay, so we are here talking about Innovation Box, and I think in 2014, I, in a very small way, contributed towards the setting up of Innovation Box, working very closely with Vinayak and his team, and extremely proud to say that now it's the 10th year of Innovation Box. I was actually in the DSI FinSec event a couple of months back, and I saw the energy and the vibrancy of the Indian startup cybersecurity ecosystem. I was extremely proud to see the passion and the enthusiasm in the young talent that we have in the country, which is looking at trying to solve the cybersecurity problems in their own innovative way. And I think that needs to be encouraged. And so I'm really happy and proud that DSCI has been constantly working on improving the platform for Innovation Box, and the fact that we have more startups coming in here, and eventually the final curtain raiser in Delhi in EISS, where we'll actually reward the finest in the country. So extremely proud about that. When I'm here, this is my first sort of a role as a CEO of Quick Heal and Securite, and I know that many people are aware of Quick Heal, but not so many are aware of Securite. Securite is actually the enterprise security brand for Quick Heal. And as you know, that Quick Heal has been in the industry for almost 3 decades. It's actually the original cybersecurity startup, which has been around for these last 3 decades, focusing on solving the need for protecting the end consumer from all the different threats. In fact, we have all the possible samples of malware that have happened in the last 3 decades in our labs. Very few companies can talk about it globally to have that kind of a repository and that kind of understanding of how the malware industry has worked. But I think we're now pivoting towards really seeing how we can solve and build on that capability and solve the enterprise security problems, really. And that's really what we are focused on. And within that, our mission really is to try and create a simplified cybersecurity model for our customers, right? And when we talk about simplification, I think it's very important to understand really how do we make it simple for the security organization. And majority part of my career in the industry has been the practitioner, the person who's trying to implement, the person who's trying to really work with the business and try to secure the organization. And in most of these conferences, when I used to come and talk, and most of my fellow CISOs used to come and talk, one of the problems that we would say is that it takes so much time and energy to really get the kit working. And the primary job of a CISO and the cybersecurity team is not about getting the kit working, but it's about really doing risk management and engaging the organization to participate in the process of managing cybersecurity risks. So the idea is, when we try to look at simplification of cybersecurity, it's about really how do we reduce that time of the cybersecurity team from doing that infrastructure and technical configurations and move towards having a more engaging risk conversations with the business. Because that's really what is required to democratize cybersecurity and enable the organization to really do the work related to making sure every single individual in the organization understands what they're supposed to perform. So in the mission of trying to simplify, it's very important that we create a simplified stack. So for the first time in my career, I have got this important responsibility of creating solutions and creating infrastructure. So I'm glad that Securite's mission is to create a simplified security architecture. And the way I want to just sort of introduce that to all of you today is through the CSMA architecture, which is the CSMA mesh architecture, where we talk about how you're securing the cloud, how you're securing the various devices, how do you make sure that you're securing the applications, network, data, and the identity? Because at the end of the day, that's really what we are striving towards to protect an organization. And then the interoperability and how do we really sort of get this whole mesh working in a very seamless and orchestrated manner, right? Now, I can't take credit for what I'm going to talk about because this is something which I have inherited as a heritage and a legacy by the talented team of Security and Quick Heal that have created this stack, which is about really working and building solution for endpoint security, for building a solution for mobile detection, not just in terms of containerization, but also in terms of MDM. So depending on the problems, we have solutions in terms of managing these problems. The third is about really looking at, when we are looking at EDR and how do you start looking at beyond the signature-based and behavior-based. But the problem when you talk about managing all of these different agents is how do we create a simplified experience to the architects. And so we created this Hawk agent stack, which is making sure that there is a seamless experience of using all of these solutions in a way where all the sensors are orchestrated together. And then we talk about applications, we're talking about XDR, and we're talking about zero trust, right? So we have made sure that we have created these stacks as well so that we are allowing, especially in today's hybrid world where we are talking about dispersion of databases, dispersion of devices, and dispersion of users where you have any time, any place, and any person access, any device access. We need to make sure that we are supporting that organizations to have a trusted connectivity to the remote enterprise, right? And so we have solutions through Secure Hawk Protect, which allows you a zero trust access into your enterprise. And then I think one of the things that I've been always talking about is security is a function of three important components, right? One is about the technical aspect. The second is about how do you get the technology live by putting the soul of use cases and content, which makes that technical stack alive. And the third is you need the right team, talented, motivated team to manage it. So therefore, we power it by a MDR solution, which really drives and make sure that all the three components of technology, content, and the people are delivering that through our Hawkwatch services, right? When we look at all of this and when you look at DPDP now coming up, which is a great thing because I'm just blogged about it, that for the first time, when you look at the history of the privacy and how it has evolved in different countries, one of the things which has happened is whenever there is the introduction of a regulation like a DPDP, it actually increases the cybersecurity posture of that country a couple of notches above. And I'm so glad and proud and happy that finally we have an act which is going to create not just awareness and visibility about what is it that we need to do in terms of protecting the personal information of individual citizens of the country, but thereby building accountability on the processors in terms of how they deal with their infrastructure to protect and ensure that there are no breaches which are happening to that personal information. And so therefore, it creates that capability of helping and maturing the organization's cybersecurity posture. So we have been investing and building solutions through HawkScan, which is really helping to do discovery and classification of that information, right? Now, when we look at all of this, we need to make sure everything is zero touch, everything is instantaneous, and so we have done a lot of automation to ensure that there is lesser dependency on the infrastructure and the team behind, and everything is cloud-enabled so that it can be onboarded on a fly. And that's why we have these MSSP portals and so on, other enablers. But the most important aspect of the security stack is actually the chassis, the piece which is working behind the scene of all of these solutions which are consumed by the consumer, right? And there are three important elements to that, which is about the Hawk Eye, Hawk Insight, and Hawk Nest, right? And some of these features are behind the scene, but the reason I am sharing this with you is because a lot of the architects and engineers in this room will empathize with what I know and what I've seen as a CISO, is that you should have a very integrated technology architecture when we look at operating all of these solutions. They should not be point solutions. They should be all orchestrated together, have the same chassis, and then it's all about putting all of the components together to fit into that chassis, right? And so what we are trying to do is to create that common infrastructure which gives you that pane of data lake, data store, orchestrator, dashboarding, policy management, single customer ID across all the platforms, fully cloud-enabled, so that once it is engineered, you are able to work across, and then you're able to use various communication protocols so that you're able to orchestrate across all of these things. So it's like you build once, but then you start using various components and start connecting with that. So that's really what we are doing, and that's how really we have been engineering all of these solutions together. And through this, our aim is to do something which the earlier panel was talking about, which is the national security and integrity is equally important, right? We are the only, like I said, the original startup, we started 30 years back, and we've been focused purely on cybersecurity. And we've been pivoting to enterprise security for the last 5 to 6 years, 35,000 enterprise customers. And the only Indian company which is able to offer all of these solutions to the Indian customers, right? So that's really what our focus is, that's our vision is. And we want to be very empathetic towards really what is the problem that we want to solve for our customers. I mean, being a career CISO, our aim and our idea is to basically get somebody who understands the problem and builds solutions which solves these problems on an ongoing basis. So we will continue to invest and continue to build these solutions in a way which solves, making sure that we are able to constantly innovate. Because at the end of the day, the threat actors, we were in the fraud panel in the afternoon, and we talked about how the threats are dynamically changing. How do we need to, therefore, create an adaptive, agile, and something which is able to future-proof your, not just today, but about looking at, how your organization is growing. You can't have a hard-coded solution where today you build something only to change it after a couple of years. That's just not going to help us scale. So you need to create adaptive, agile solutions. So while I know I talked about Securite today, but it needs to be something which has to be an industry solution, right? And it's not just about us trying to do our bit, but industry as a whole needs to do its bit to create a framework. And all of us as practitioners, as vendors, as academicians, as government officials, everybody of us needs to come together to help in simplifying security solutioning, because only then we have a chance of solving this very fundamental and very important cybersecurity problem that every organization is facing today. So again, just to summarize that we are very committed. I'm extremely proud and happy that Securite is securing ISRO, and it's a great momentous occasion that Chandrayaan has securely landed on the moon today. Extremely proud about that. Also extremely proud that DSA has been recognizing and encouraging all the startups for so many years. I know Vinayak specifically has been exceptionally passionate about this topic. We have had multiple discussions around that, and the amount of passion this man has on building the startup ecosystem in the country is just something which all of us should look at as a role model, and we should clap for him. So I think I'm definitely looking forward to a great amount of enthusiasm and passion from all the speakers today, and look forward to having a great conversation, and looking forward to seeing all the innovations that all of you guys are doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vishal. There you go. Simplification, speed, moving from transactional to strategic, democratizing cybersecurity, securing the net, data, identity, ensuring that we're creating simplified experiences for architects, and the intersectionality of tech, content, and people in the landscape of changing trust.